Hello and welcome to Friday's Granada Report. We're live with the news in the northwest.
Hello there. Coming up on the programme.
He was asking me to speak sexually to men in return for money. His controlling ways were so intense at this time that I felt like I couldn't say no.
The teenager speaking out about being sexually exploited online in the hope it will help others.
Fighting to clear his name, George says wrongly ticking a box on a benefits form left him having to sell his home and with a criminal record.
It showed that young people, even with their long hair and odd dressed, can do important things and do care.
They were there 55 years ago. Now these men are planning to restage their part in a famous charity walk.
After those amazing scenes on ITV, a new challenge for Ninja Warrior star Matt.
And in the weather, we went from soggy doggy this morning to chirpy birdie this afternoon. And the weekend is looking rather mixed as well. All the details to follow.
So do please stay with us. But first tonight, there were times I couldn't show my face. I didn't want anyone in the streets to see me.
Those are the words of a woman who was just a young teenager when she was coerced and, she says, sexually exploited online by a man she considered to be her boyfriend.
He's since been jailed, and Joanna, whose real identity we've protected, has now added her name to growing calls for tighter online security for young people.
She's been talking exclusively to our reporter, Emma Sweeney.
So at first it was like the honeymoon period. We were in love and, wanted to spend time together and stuff like that.
Joanna was just a schoolgirl when she entered into what she thought was her first serious relationship. An adult who she'd met through a friend of a friend, and at first he was charming. But once he'd worked his way into her life, things began to change.
He had a GPS location tracker and he would know what time I finished school and approximately what time I should get home. If I wasn't home in that time, he would start to accuse me of cheating.
Joanna's abuser also cut her off from friends. Isolated and alone was exactly how he wanted her to feel. She says he then began to coerce her into speaking to other men over social media.
So he was asking me to speak sexually to men in return for money, but I never seen any of the money. It just went directly to him. His controlling ways were so intense at this time that I felt like I couldn't say no.
As the weeks passed, Joanna's relationship became even more toxic. She claims there were threats to kill her friends and family if she didn't do what she was told. Intimate photos of her were also used as blackmail.
It was a constant every day. I will send these photos. I will send these photos. It could have been as simple as if you don't answer the phone, or as extreme as if you don't speak to the men online.
I can't place myself in your shoes to understand how that can make you feel. I mean, you must have been at your wit's end.
I've been through so many months. Every single day he was saying this to me. I said in the end, please do it. Get it over and done with. I can't go through having this hanging over my head for so long. In the end, he did actually do it. I was having messages from people I went to school with. It felt degrading.
Many experts warn that the use of smartphones and social media as a tool to carry out abuse is one of the biggest threats facing young people today.
When people are offering you maybe things that you haven't got, like money, things for doing stuff for them, which maybe they can't afford, but that type of thing, that becomes the norm, and that's where things become a problem, because to them it's normal, but actually it's not normal, and it's wrong, and there's no barriers there where parents can intervene unless they get the phones off the children. It's too late.
Joanna's abuser has now been jailed. She's no longer under his control. But the intimate photos she says he used as blackmail are beyond her reach. They'll likely always be online. She's now joined growing calls for change.
The social media companies say we can't control what people put out, but surely there should be some kind of algorithm that when it sees things that shouldn't be put up, they should be taken away, not just be allowed to stay on there.
You have now moved on with your life. Do you feel in a better place, or are you haunted by the past?
I have quite vivid flashbacks and night terrors, but my life is definitely improving and I am trying to move on from this.
Yeah, and we wish her the best of luck. She's clearly very brave speaking out about it. Emma, those calls for tighter online security for young people are part of a much wider debate, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right, and I mean, it's a debate that's been rumbling on for many years, and in fact today it was reignited again because Ofcom released figures showing that around a quarter of 5 to 7-year-olds now have smartphones, around a quarter. And of that number, around 40% of them are accessing social media apps. Now, some people are finding this very concerning, and it is feeding into growing calls by some to ban smartphones altogether for those aged 16 and under. Now, in recent months, we've heard quite a lot from Esther Jai, the mother of the murdered transgender teenager Brianna Jai. She's one of those calling for that ban on smartphones. She says that her daughter was able to access online material that wasn't good for her mental health. We also know that one of Brianna's murderers, Scarlett Jenkinson, was able to access inappropriate material online. So she wants a ban. There are rumours that the government is actually considering this, although when I asked the government about it, it said it wouldn't comment on speculation.
What has been the government's response to Joanna's story?
Well, in relation to Joanna's story, the government said that its recently introduced Online Safety Act makes the UK the safest place in the world to be online, requiring social media companies to take swift and proactive action to tackle child sexual abuse. It then goes on to say if they don't do it, they will face huge fines.
So what is the advice for young people who find themselves exploited or are worried that they might fall into that trap?
I think the first thing is to be informed, right? So you heard there in Joanna's piece that she said that she was quickly cut off from friends. She also told me that she had met this guy in a matter of weeks, like 3 weeks, and then he said he loved her. Both of those are red flags, right, in any relationship. So it's about being informed. There is plenty of information on our website, itv.com/Granada, for people who want to find out more, not just young people, but also parents who are often at their wits' end.
Indeed they are. Emma, thank you. Now we move on to the carer from Preston who says an innocent mistake while filling in a benefits form led to him being made to feel like a criminal.
Yes, George Henderson says he was taken to court by the Department of Work and Pensions for fraudulently claiming benefits. He had to sell his home to pay back nearly £20,000.
George says he had ticked the wrong box on a form. The DWP says it's committed to fairness in the welfare system while protecting the public purse.
Tim Scott reports.
He lost his house, his livelihood, his savings and his peace of mind. George Henderson has been through hell. The reason? Ticking the wrong box on a benefit form.
They're human beings, just like us, you know, but they don't treat us like human beings.
George applied for carer's allowance in 2010. He was looking after his drug addict son who has learning difficulties. He also worked in a local taxi office. But his problem started when he wrongly ticked a box to say he was unemployed, thinking the question referred to his son, not himself. 7 years later, he got a letter from the Department of Work and Pensions.
I received a letter saying, "We are charging you with fraud for the sum of £19,600 and something pounds."
That must have been such a shock for you.
If you can imagine, I mean, where would I get that sort of money? You know, I was on £7.50 an hour.
The DWP prosecuted George for fraud. He was made to wear a tag. He was made to sell his home to pay off his debt, and the toll on his mental health was, and still is, devastating.
I was degraded. I was humiliated. I knew then I was on the verge of taking my life.
To make things worse, this year George received a letter from the DWP. They apologised and admitted that George had probably been telling the truth all along, and that his ticking the wrong box was an innocent mistake. But they've made no move to repay the money they took off him or quash his conviction.
That's not the behaviour of a department that is guided by fairness, by decency. That's the behaviour of a department that doesn't think it's accountable to anybody.
A DWP spokesperson told us, "We are committed to fairness in the welfare system, with safeguards in place for managing repayments while protecting the public purse. Claimants have a responsibility to inform DWP of any changes in their circumstances that could impact their award, and it is right we recover taxpayers' money when this has not occurred." Meanwhile, George, who's now living in sheltered accommodation, has vowed to continue his fight to clear his name. Tim Scott, ITV News, Preston.
And if you've been affected by any of the issues in our report tonight about George, you can get in touch with us by emailing granada.reports@itv.com.
More of the day's news now, and jurors have been shown CCTV footage of the moment a nursery worker realised a baby in her care wasn't breathing. Kate Ruffling, the deputy manager of the former Tiny Toes nursery in Cheadle-Hulme, Stockport, is accused of manslaughter by ill-treatment of 9-month-old Genevieve Meehan. She was unresponsive in May 2022 after being strapped to a beanbag for an hour and a half. Ruffy denies manslaughter and an alternative count of child cruelty.
The mother of murdered Liverpool teenager Anthony Walker has been awarded an MBE for her fight against prejudice. Dr. G. Walker has devoted her life to tackling prejudice after her 18-year-old son was killed by two racist cousins in Merseyside. G was presented with the award by the Princess Royal at Windsor Castle.
An indoor garden show has opened in a former Manchester railway station. The Royal Horticultural Society's events at the Mayfield Depot is part of its Greener Cities initiative. It aims to demonstrate what can be achieved in urban areas with minimal space for plants.
I absolutely loved the space and really enjoyed the juxtaposition and greening it up and putting loads of flowers in here and in a really industrial setting.
And there's more on that new RHS show on our social media platforms. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Still to come on the programme tonight, Keith, Bill and Ian are about to put their best feet forward as they restage a charity walk 55 years on.
And in the weather, after a breezy, quite miserable start to the day, the sky is cleared and we saw some sunshine. The weekend is looking quite mixed as well. All the details coming up shortly.
And here's Charlene with the details of the ITV News a little later on.
Coming up, tensions in the Middle East continue to simmer as Israel launches a retaliatory strike against Iran. Israel's attack appears to have avoided hitting nuclear sites, raising hopes that there'll be no further escalation in the region. We'll have all the analysis. Also tonight, the Prime Minister sets out his plan to tackle what he describes as the UK's sick note culture. And Swifties rejoice. Taylor drops a surprise double album. Join us for those stories and much more from 6:30.
Are you a Swiftie, Anne?
I was going to say, rejoice!
We're all Swifties now.
Next, we meet the group of men in their 70s from Cheshire who are hoping to turn the clock back 50 years.
Yeah, in 1969, the then 17-year-olds joined a walk to raise money for the charity Oxfam. It turned into a huge event. Thousands took part and around £3.5 million in today's money was brought in.
But it didn't all go to plan for the teenagers from Crewe, who were determined to pull on their walking boots once again. Rob Smith has been to meet them.
A day of blistering heat and blistering feet. Young people, even with their long hair and odd dressed, can do important things.
Teenagers marching for the needy seemed puzzling to some in 1969. A march through London, including some 17-year-olds from Crewe.
not only walk together, but readily work together.
Those 17-year-olds are now in their 70s, and they want to repeat the 30-mile trek to raise thousands for Oxfam. A trek they didn't all complete.
You're going to finish it this time?
Of course, yeah.
Brutal. Hottest day of the year, I think, for that year. And nobody had heard of dehydration then, I don't think. So
we had a bottle of cider, didn't we?
Oh, I don't think we had anything,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Very little on our feet and no water. It was...
Before the days of water bottles and
It
so on,
was,
wasn't
it was,
So
yeah.
we
Yeah.
weren't well prepared.
30 miles in one day.
Yeah. I was hallucinating at the end of it, yeah. Yeah.
Seriously?
Seriously. I was seeing monsters jumping out of doorways. It was crazy. Yeah. And that was, you know, that was just not taking any drugs. It was just...
And when they arrived at Wembley Stadium, their feet were sore, but their achievement was soaring.
The trio, plus another friend who completed the original walk, will head to a much-changed Wembley for the finish line this time. Their accommodations changed too. In '69, they couldn't afford a hotel, so slept on a roundabout.
It was quite a big roundabout.
Yeah.
Managed to kick down.
It was a 5-star roundabout.
Yeah, yeah.
It had a couple of trees in the middle. Yeah, we were mad, but that's
We were
youth,
17.
isn't it? Yeah, we were 17. Yeah.
It was the spirit of the era.
Yeah.
You know, we were
You could do anything.
trailblazers.
With blisters and dehydration.
Yeah.
With better footwear, bottles of water and a hotel stop, they'll make the walk over 2 days next week. Rob Smith, ITV News, Crewe.
Yeah, the very best of luck with the walk, gents. Dehydration, what's that?
Exactly. We never had water bottles
Yeah.
when we went to school, did we?
We're all softy nowadays, aren't we? Sport now, and Wembley's calling for both Manchester clubs in the Cup this weekend. Hi, Chris.
Hi, yes, City and United both heading to London looking to make it an all-Manchester FA Cup final for the second year in a row. The treble may be over for City, but a League and Cup double is still on. They face Chelsea tomorrow, while United take on Championship side Coventry on Sunday. This is their last chance of silverware this season, but standing in their way is a former United Cup hero, as David Chisnall reports.
After a first all-Manchester FA Cup final in 151 years, we may now only have to wait 12 months for another.
That's Gundogan!
City defeated United last season to lift the cup on their way to doing the treble. A Premier League FA Cup double is now their aim this season after going out of the Champions League. City face Chelsea at Wembley tomorrow, where they'll come up against their own academy graduate and the league's most informed player, Cole Palmer, who they sold at the start of the season.
This is an exceptional player. We knew when he was here. I didn't give the minutes, and maybe he deserved it. He wanted the minutes, and now he has a Chelsea. So I understand completely. So I'm happy for him because he's a lovely guy. He was asking 2 seasons to leave. So I said in the preseason, stay because Riyadh is gone. I said, no, I want to leave. After 2 seasons, what can I say?
Well, in this topsy-turvy campaign for Manchester United, the Cup is Erik ten Hag's last chance to win silverware this season.
Ahmad for the semi-final!
This competition holds a special place in English football, and ahead of their semi-final with Championship side Coventry City, the United boss says he understands the criticism from many of our Football League clubs after the FA announced replays are being scrapped from next season.
It's very sad for the British football culture, but I think also it's inevitable. There is so much overload on the players. We talk this issue so often. It has to stop for top players. This is a measure what can make some space in the shadow.
He's right!
The romance of the Cup sees United come up against Coventry manager Mark Robins, a man who holds a special place in the Reds' history. His winning goal against Nottingham Forest in the third round of the FA Cup in 1990 has gone down in the club's folklore as the goal that saved Sir Alex Ferguson from the sack. After a struggling start to his time at Old Trafford, Sir Alex says United would go on to lift the cup that year and then dominate English football for more than 2 decades.
I mean, Manchester United is the biggest club in the world, there's no doubt about it. So we know that they've got top talents in the side, but obviously if you cannot go and enjoy that, then you shouldn't be playing.
Well, United and City will hope it's their weekend that's an enjoyable one as they try to make the final on May the 25th. Another Mancunian matchup. David Chisnall, ITV News, Manchester.
Well, a huge week for Sean Dyche's Everton begins on Sunday when they face their relegation rivals, Nottingham Forest. You can see from the league table there's just a point between the teams. Everton have another crucial game against Brentford next week and a Merseyside derby in between, but they're still smarting from that 6-0 defeat at Chelsea this week.
It's difficult. Like I said, 7 other managers have had to go to find that magic key that unlocks it, and I'm still searching for it. So I think we're doing some good work here, but it doesn't alter the fact we're on a really bad run. It doesn't alter that. It's a bad run, and that's a really bad performance on Monday. So don't get me wrong, my words are not trying to alter that. I know my responsibility, and that's to get this team winning.
Champion in the Premier League, you have to be close to perfection. So, and if you're not perfect, you have to deal with the setbacks in the best possible way or in a perfect way. So because that's about, and that's what we are now doing. We had a setback week, if you want, with 3 games we didn't like too much, the results especially, and now we have to start turning it around.
Now to Rugby League, and this weekend sees a clash between neighbouring clubs with contrasting fortunes. Last year's Challenge Cup winners, Lee Leopards, have won just once in Super League this year, while Warrington, who struggled last year, are now second in the table and are coming off the back of a morale-boosting cup win over St Helens.
It was a great win for the club. I think it's been a while since we've beaten St Helens there, so it's a great win for the club, but you know, the games come around pretty quick, so you can't dwell on it for too long. People that have been at the club for a long time enjoyed the win. You know, it's back to business this week.
We've got a 5-year plan here. We've got a big picture in mind, and but you know, the season hasn't started ideally, but I know it's going to change, and we're very, very close to playing a really special game, and we need to do that to get back to where we need to be.
Yes, and Wigan St Helens both in action tonight, hoping to keep the pressure on leaders Catalan Dragons. It's another of those big sporting weekends. Can't wait.
Certainly is.
Chris, thank you.
Now, an athlete from Hoylake in Wirral is currently in training for the Great Britain paraclimbing team. But you may recognise Matt Armitage from Ninja Warrior UK too.
Matt has appeared on the popular assault course programme twice now. The second time, he'd lost one of his legs in a motorbike accident, so competed with a prosthetic leg. He became the first ever amputee to beat the wall in Ninja Warrior UK Race for Glory.
His story is both incredible and inspiring, as our entertainment correspondent Caroline Whitmore found out.
My name is Matthew Armitage. I'm 33 years old and I'm originally from Hoylake on the Wirral. I'm probably best known for being the first amputee up the walk wall on Ninja Warrior UK.
Act it out! Go on, Matt! Go on, Matt! Yeah!
Matt, your story is so inspirational. Just take us back to the beginning and tell us in a nutshell.
So I think it was around about 8 years ago now, I competed in the first, it was season 3 of Ninja Warrior, and at the time I had both my legs. And then a couple of years after that, I had a really bad accident and basically lost a leg. I chose to have my leg amputated. 2 years after that, Ninja Warrior Race for Glory was casting.
You made history. You were the first amputee to make it up the wall.
I'd seen previously a lot of amputees going on the show and doing the course, and a lot of them never wore a prosthetic. So I thought the rules were that you couldn't wear one. So I was made up that you could, because otherwise there would have been absolutely no chance of getting up the wall. That's all thanks to my prosthetic centre in Clatterbridge. They gave me the Otterbot Challenger foot, and without that I wouldn't have been able to get up the wall. That's the top of the wall and I cried on national television, so I watch it back quite regularly just as like a gravity check. I knew that I'd get emotional. I've never been a warrior, because if you can do something about a situation, then there's no need to worry because you can take action. If you can't do anything, then you might as well just accept it and move on. For me, it was very, very black and white about choosing to lose my leg. I saw if I kept it, it was going to hold me back for the rest of my life. The staring never stops. People are just better at hiding it. People are, by nature, curious.
We're here at the Boardroom Climbing Centre near Queen's Ferry. This is on your doorstep. You're now part of a very important squad.
I got my formal invitation to join GB Paraclimbing. I have some national and international competitions to attend in 2024, which means that I'm training in here in the Boardroom at least 3 times a week. And my first competition's in May in Salt Lake City, the first round of the World Cup Paraclimbing.
Wow!
Financially, it's all self-funded. I've been very fortunate in the fact that I'm a veteran, and I've had a lot of support from BLESMA, who are the British Limbless Ex-Servicemen's Association. I don't see myself as disabled. Even in the brief moments that I do, there are opportunities to prove that I am more able than the average person.
Makes me feel very, very lazy.
All right, impressive guy.
Ninja Warrior continues tomorrow on ITV at 4:30.
Here's Emma with the weather.
Have you burnt tea again?
I'm scraping the cooled oil into the bin, not the sink.
Can we eat outside? It's nice.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello there, very good evening to you. Friday evening again. I do not know where the week has gone. I bet you're saying the same. So it was a bit of a grey outlook at the beach this morning for our Toby, but things did brighten up this afternoon. Still 1 or 2 showers around, but they are now fading away. And the weekend looks quite mixed as well. Saturday, the better day of the weekend. Cloudy and maybe damp on Sunday, some patchy frost by night. But the one thing that we can be certain of is that temperatures are going to remain disappointing for the next few days. The jet stream is arcing up over Iceland, bringing in this north-northwesterly flow here. You can see we hang on to the blue colours for a little while longer and right into the start of next week, in fact, actually. So those temperatures are good 2 or 3 degrees below where they should be for the time of year, and we probably will feel that as well. So over the next few hours, a couple of heavier showers just down to the south of the region, but they will fade. Sky is clear. It's going to get very chilly overnight as well. A widespread frost, a ground frost, but actually 1 or 2 pockets of air frost as well in places. And out in the countryside, we could get down as low as -2, -3 Celsius. So a nippy one, but a bright start to Saturday. Talking of which, the sun is up tomorrow at 2 minutes to 6, sets at 8:23. Make the most of that sunshine tomorrow. It'll be a chilly start, but lots of glorious sun. However, later on with variable amounts of cloud bubbling up, especially further inland. Because it was a cold start, it's going to feel a bit nippy under the cloud. Always better for these west-facing coasts and across the Isle of Man. You will certainly see some sunshine into the afternoon, but still disappointing temperatures. Then more cloud around on Sunday, maybe some drizzle. On Monday, 1 or 2 showery outbreaks of rain, but again, it's going to be better in the west. And for Tuesday, a bit of a ridge of high pressure trying to build in from the northwest, so not too bad actually at that point. Bye-bye.
It's a little bit burnt.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
The sun will come. That's it so far today. We're back after news at 10, and you can find the latest on our website. Just go to itv.com/Granada.
Next week, the opening of what's been described as the UK's largest live entertainment arena. Peter Kay, the first to perform there.
For now, thanks for watching, and goodbye.
Bye-bye.